Welcome to Easy Peasy Books, From Author to Authority, the lively and engaging podcast for business professionals who've always believed they have a book in them. I'm your host, Jillian Whitney. Join me as I chat with authors and industry experts from all around the world to explore simple strategies to write, publish, and leverage your business book. Whether you're an entrepreneur, executive, or an employee, this podcast is for you. Woohoo! And we're live once again on another Tuesday, although today it actually is a previously recorded live. April Fools, everybody. And today I got to just tell you the backstory because this is kind of a crazy live. And I decided April Fools, I'm just going to go with it. So for some crazy reason, I couldn't get anybody to be a guest on my show today. And I have people booking into other dates in April and dates in May, and nobody wanted April 1st. So I decided, I guess everybody's just superstitious. Nobody wanted to be on my live today. So I could do a solo live, but I thought, why don't I just lean into April Fools and go with it and see what I can come up with? So what I decided is I wanted to talk about LinkedIn. So here's actually my topic today. No fooling, serious advice for authors on LinkedIn visibility, engagement, and connecting. And what I decided to do for this topic is I could have just talked about LinkedIn by myself, but I decided to bring in 3 experts from a previously recorded live, and they don't even know that they're on the show today. This is kind of the fun thing. So April Fools to them, they don't even know my guest. They're my guest today. They're my mystery guests. And actually who it is Debbie Wemyss, Kevin D. Turner, and Jeff Young. And the 3 of them were on my show, and we did maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I'm not sure. We did a happy birthday LinkedIn live, and it was to honor, I think, 20 years of LinkedIn being a platform. Maybe it was 25, I don't remember. But we shared so many incredible tips on how to use LinkedIn. But that was an hour episode. So what I decided to do was I decided to pull out the best bits of that live so that you guys could all hear this advice, because everything old is new again. And if you are an author and you have written a business book, you want to be on LinkedIn, and there are different rules. If you've been on Instagram or Pinterest or Twitter or Facebook, you come on LinkedIn and you need to learn the lay of the land. And I can't think of anybody better than these 3 to give their best advice on how to get to know LinkedIn and how to really maximize this platform. So with that and no further ado, I'm going to roll the film, and I hope you enjoy it. Lots of great stuff here. And by the way, you don't have to be an author to really enjoy what you're going to learn today, because these 3 guys are, and gals, these 3 peeps are just incredible with the great valuable advice that they have to share. So let's get cracking. So why don't you start off with your number 1? What's your secret sauce?
Okay, thank you. There's a million tips, but I think it keeps coming back to engagement because there's still too many people that get a really good profile going and then they kind of sit back. And you have to engage. You have to work this tool just like you work any other branding and marketing tool. Something I discovered not so long ago. I've always acknowledged comments on things that I post, and you get the back and forth engagement going. You acknowledge someone's comment and you comment back, and things take off from there. That's the whole idea. But I just started engaging with people that were liking my stuff, and I've never really taken the time to do that. And let me tell you, it's an eye opener. And engaging meaning you click on like, find out who they are, shoot them an invitation to connect. Thanks for, liking my posts. And again, things take off from there. If you show that you care, they're going to care back, and that is one of my favorite things, is teaching people how to engage in a meaningful manner always with more than 4 words. You got to make it a comment. You got to make it a sentence, not, hey, great post. That's not going to help anybody.
A drive-by.
But engagement is, I think, yeah, that's the key for me.
Kevin, what is your sort of number one tip?
My number one tip is we all want to be found on LinkedIn, right? And LinkedIn is a database. When Jeff and I got in there, I think it was under 500 when Jeff got there. It was under 2 million when I got there, right? But it works like any database does. And if you follow database best practices, it's easier to find you. And so one of the things that I suggested, if you haven't done this, everywhere on your profile, if you go in and there's a box, right? And if you type into the box, it gives a drop-down suggestion. Those are market value titles. If you use the market value titles, you're easier to be found on LinkedIn. So titles are really big. Cloud9 Navigator, bad title. Chief Human Resource Officer, great title, you'll be found. The same thing goes all the way down even into the degree. If you put bachelor's, you're probably not going to be found for a bachelor's of science BS is what they identified as. So use those market value titles. It's like the Dewey Decimal System in the library. If you made up your own numbers and put the book back on the shelf, nobody would find it. That's what people are doing to themselves. That's my number one tip. Use the market value titles.
So my tip relates to how you get found and how you differentiate yourself. It's all about branding and how you differentiate yourself. So my tip is use videos, use graphics, use them on your profile, use them when you post, use them, well, as I do sometimes in my comments. Okay. People who know me know I also put graphics of some sort in my comments most of the time to illustrate what I'm going on. And that also helps me stand out when I do a comment and I engage, Debbie, as an example. And those are normally something called a GIF. If you want to know what a GIF is, go back to a previous live that Jillian and I did, to GIF or not to GIF. And to me, it's an acronym, and I love acronyms. Okay, GIF to me stands for graphics is fun. Okay, and basically that's really just a matter of using a graphic so that you stand out. And almost every single comment that I ever have made on LinkedIn for the past many years now has a graphic, has a GIF, and they're really good. Kevin's taken it to the next level as well. Kevin uses GIFs to illustrate how-tos and how to find his new features and where the new features are, et cetera. It's fabulous. So use those graphics and it will help you stand out.
The fun part, and this kind of leads to what my tip is that when you have the opportunity to meet people off of LinkedIn, that's where the magic happens. And Jeff was my very, very, very first person I ever met with off of LinkedIn. And it was an amazing opportunity to get to know somebody. And that's what I would say is my tip is take your connections from the public arena to the private arena of getting to know people in the DMs. And when you're comfortable, do a Zoom. These are just great ways to get to know people. And here we are. I would consider us all colleagues and friends. We became friends by having conversations. We have a group DM where we're chatting together in the DM, just the four of us. We have met. I've had you all on my live before. I've had Zooms with all of you before. And to me, this is the magic of LinkedIn that you don't get with other social platforms where, if you go on Instagram or something like that, I don't know how many, it's kind of one to many. You're just broadcasting out. The same with YouTube. YouTube's a great platform, but you're not making these personal connections. And that's my secret sauce of LinkedIn. Make these personal connections.
I'm going to take it a step further. So Kevin and his wife were kind enough to come out to the Dallas airport. I had 3 hours to sit coming home from San Diego from a conference. And that's taken it to the next level. When you can meet some of your, even a short-term connection, but Kevin and I have been connected for a few years, and it was just so fun to meet in person. So my goal now is to meet you other two in person at some point, and I'm sure I will.
I got to mention as well. I mean, thank you, Jillian, for mentioning that I was your first Zoom, a linked out meeting. Okay. But one of the things that it also leads to, in addition to friendships, is it actually, in Jillian's case, led to some more money because I actually have used Jillian's services because I mentioned videos and I mentioned those kind of things on my profile. My profile video and a 2-minute introduction video are products of okay, the lady to my side, okay, because of the fact that her talents were something that I found out that I could actually use. So it was something that I have thanked her many times before, and I point people to her all the time. Referrals happen all the time as well, and that's a big part of this platform as well.
But I think I saw you put a tip somewhere, and you were saying one of the things that's great about LinkedIn is find a need that somebody has and fill that need and connect people.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful thing that we can do in LinkedIn, not only just meeting with our connections ourselves, but introducing people to other people. And I know that you're responsible, Jeff, for introducing Kevin to me, because I remember when I first saw Kevin and I was following him, which is, I think, something we all recommend, all four of us, that when you see somebody on LinkedIn, you don't need to immediately connect with them because we can't be connected to everybody, but we can follow everybody. And so if you find somebody and you like their content, then go ahead and follow them, ring their bell so that you're alerted to, what they do on LinkedIn, get to know them a little bit. And with Kevin, I really liked Kevin and I wanted to get to know Kevin. And Kevin requires that he's selective, which is totally understandable. And you have to have his email address before you connect with Kevin. And they didn't have it. So I asked Jeff, I would like to meet Kevin. And you said, let me make an introduction to you. And boom, we got introduced. We got to know each other. Kevin came on my show. We got to know each other. And so meeting people, but having other people make those introductions for you, I think that's gold.
And I have to give a shout out to Angus over the pond. He introduced me to using the mobile app to leave a voice message instead of, a written message. And ever since then, I've had more fun with this. And right now I'm making a concerted effort to use it. And it's 1 minute, so you can't get real chatty, but you will stand out. It looks like a blue recording line. So people know right away when they go to their LinkedIn messaging, oh, what's this? It's a recording. So super easy. You bring up the person you want to message, and at the bottom of the screen, instead of writing the message right to the right, there's going to be a teeny tiny microphone because LinkedIn likes to make you look for stuff. And you can practice. And when you get it the way you want it, off it goes. Keep it at a minute. Angus did give another tip on top of that. If you get a back and forth going of these little voicemails, it's good to stop and throw a text message, written message in there to let people know where you're at in that conversation. Because going back to that and having to replay all those 1 minute messages to find something is a little bit cumbersome. But I love leaving a quick, hey, thanks for connecting. Look for my formal thank you in a few days.
Do you follow up and also recommend using your phone to do that audio pronunciation on your profile?
Absolutely. I just changed mine yesterday. We try to change it at the beginning. I try to change mine at the first of the month to highlight something that we're doing. It's 10 seconds, but you can say a lot, and you can say your name in about a millisecond, and then you still have that time, and you can get very creative. And Jeff, you're very creative with yours. He's got a little soundtrack going on there. So it is whatever you want it to be, however creative you wish to be with it. Absolutely. Take advantage of all these little nuances that are video, audio, anything like that. You got to come up to speed with it.
And I know personally, I have a name that's it's a British name because I'm actually British, born abroad. And my name, Jillian, a lot of people don't know how to pronounce it, sort of like Jiff and Jeff. Jiff and Gip. And I actually I have my pronunciation doing that because I figure if somebody is going to, maybe they're going to hop on a call with me or I'm going to be on their show or something like that. I want to make sure that they can pronounce my name correctly. So, if you have a challenging name or an unusual name, it's good to even just do that because we do like to hear our name said correctly. I think they say that's like one of the most personal things is having your name pronounced nice. So, important stuff, important stuff.
Another tip, as we were talking about this kind of networking and communicating and kind of getting down, sometimes bogged into messaging, which is sometimes not as effective and efficient as it should be. Within that messaging, if you look to the top of that messaging area in that box, you'll see that little thing. It looks like a video camera, right? You can actually set up an instant meeting like Zoom, or you can actually use Zoom and Teams in it, but you can use the one that's native to LinkedIn. So if you've got a conversation going, you can say, hey, can I show you something new if you haven't seen it before? But we can have an instant video meeting and we can talk about this. And I can even share my screen with you. That's cool because it's not like, hey, let me set up a Zoom and I'll send you a link and your email didn't get it yet. Maybe it's in spam, right? All that stuff. It's right there. It's instant and it's cool in that sense. And going back to the audio option, where we're talking about leaving audio messages, you also have that hidden video message option. And LinkedIn loves to hide things, as we said, right? Debbie, they do. There's just too many features on LinkedIn to put them all out front because it would look like an admiral's jacket or something. There'd be so many buttons. So they hide it underneath the paperclip on your mobile. So when you're in there and you're in messaging, you see that little paperclip, tap on it. It's going to open up a new pop-up box. And one of the options is send a video message. So I really like video. I like audio. I really like video because, I don't know, there's just more human in it, right? And that's,
I agree,
becoming a challenge these days.
I'm a huge fan of the video messages. If you're a little hesitant about making videos for the feed, because it's very noisy and there's just so much competition now with video. And I think there's this stress that people feel it's got to have special effects and dogs dancing and all sorts of things. If you just want to ease into video at your own speed, send a video message to somebody privately. And I always recommend don't spam them with, here's my $70 million deal. It's like, do things like, hey, I saw that you just got a new job. I'm really excited for you, or hey, I heard it's your birthday today. These are the kind of things. Use it for social selling, for relationship building. That's what I use videos and DMs for, especially too, if you hear that people maybe aren't feeling well, just sending them a get well video. That's a really wonderful way to just be a human being. And so I love doing those video messages.
This is not my tip, but it qualifies as a tip. Don't pitch slap. Okay. Just don't. I mean, it's just not going to work. I don't know how I made people keep doing it, but it's just not going to work. Oh, no, I'm all about free. I do free seminars. Well, I'm also all about using LinkedIn for free as well. So my tip is learn how LinkedIn works and what you can do for free first before you pay for it. Sure, you might want to try LinkedIn Premium to see what it might be like. But do yourself and do me a favor. I don't care what it takes. If you take LinkedIn's month for free, put Post-it notes on your refrigerator, put neon signs on your garage. I don't care what it takes. Okay. But do something that tells you to cancel that if you don't like what LinkedIn has for you. But 95% of the people that I encounter when I'm doing a seminar haven't even scratched the surface of what they can do for free. So figure out what it can do for free. And if you don't know, and if you want to do something on LinkedIn for free and don't know how, ask one of us because we'll probably know how to use it because we've done it. Okay. We've gotten around paying for LinkedIn at one point or another.
I'm on free. I've never paid for LinkedIn at all. And everything that I do, all the video, every post I make, everything is free. Only thing that I would love would maybe be the out of office message. But then again, I never go anywhere. I go everywhere all the time anyways. I'm a digital nomad. So it's like LinkedIn just comes with me. So that's the best.
The office.
Yeah, there's no office.
But it's not. It is. The out of office message for LinkedIn only goes to your connections anyway. Well, somebody. So I wish it was for everybody who's right, but it's not. It's only for your connections, and it's only once a day anyway. So I've never actually used it very often.
Bad thing about it, depending on what you put in there, sometimes it can hide their message. So when you look at your messages, you're the last one to message because it's technically sending them a message. So you can lose track with it really easy if you don't pay attention to, oh, that's top of the list and I see my out of office there. I better check what's behind it because I've lost a couple that way and had to go back and apologize for digitally blocking them, I guess. So we gotta know these tools sometimes have a bad edge to them if we don't use them right.
This is the one thing that I find people panic the most is if you ever do a recommendation for somebody, it starts a new conversation thread. And all of a sudden somebody will say, I've lost my entire conversation history with you. And that's probably the scariest thing. And it would really be nice if LinkedIn would not do that. I don't know why that happens, but that is something that most people panic because then they've lost every single thing. They haven't. You just got to come back to the original thing. So sorry if that's a bit meta, but that's one thing that we should be bananas.
Scheduling. I love it. Right. A lot of people use Buffer or Hootsuite or whatever app they want to use. LinkedIn now has the ability to do it right there on your homepage. Go to post something and you'll see a little clock in the lower right corner. And now you can also schedule posts for your LinkedIn page as well.
And you can mention people, right, in it, which all the other tools from the outside can't do that, which is kind of cool. And, I always put at the bottom, I always mention myself, believe it or not. And I mention my company as part of my signature at the bottom. And then what that does when I then will do my first comment, LinkedIn looks at that as the person that is being mentioned is now joining the conversation. So this must have been important, right? Because they measure these kind of dynamics. So I create my own. And then, from my first comment, which I normally put all my little resources out there that are free. My second comment, I do from my company page. So I just click that little icon up there, right? The little me icon at the top of the comment with the arrow down. I click it and then I select TNT Brand Strategist and I make another comment. Now LinkedIn thinks, wow, he mentioned two, people or two groups on LinkedIn and they both replied. So he must not be spammy. It's kind of convincing the system, right? And it works. It seems to be building momentum.
And then they push your post out further in your network, right?
You got it.
But it doesn't go out to everybody all at once the first time you post. The first hour, I think they watch. And then if it's got value, if you've got engagement in that first hour, that's a great tip, Kevin. I never knew that one.
Yeah, it's just the little signature tool right there. And if somebody wanted to communicate with me, they could click on it, go straight to my profile. There's other places you can get to my profile too, but it actually seems to work.
Yeah, I like the scheduling tool. And probably the biggest thing is just always for people to remember, still be there to nurture your posts, because that's probably the biggest thing about the scheduling tool. While it's very, very convenient for us, the thing is that we have to remember, and I know a few people that have said, oh, I have to now put this on my calendar that I've got to be on LinkedIn to nurture that video because it didn't get any engagement. And it's like, yeah, because you can't post and ghost and you can't schedule and ghost either.
One of the things I love on LinkedIn is one of the resources that they provide. It's on GitHub, and GitHub is where they're kind of like their skunk work stuff goes, right? And it came out 3 or 4 years ago. It's been kind of hidden, and that's called Career Explorer. Now, you don't have to be a job seeker to use it. What it does in that Career Explorer is it will actually allow you to put in a title that you're targeting, right? Or it could be your current title. It compares with your profile, what it sees in your profile, and it compares with other people who hold that title. And what it ends up doing is it tells you the top maybe 10 to 15 skills that everybody else in the database that does that job have, kind of right, the top stuff. And then it also compares it against similar positions and shows you what are the transferable skills. So we're all here. We all have careers, right? So maybe we're not looking for a job, but maybe we're looking to be better at what we do. Or maybe we're looking at, hey, I want to go from director of sales to VP of sales. What is the difference in the skills so I can start building those skills, right? That Career Explorer is phenomenal and it's free to use. It's not something they charge a premium for. So get in there, use that, find those skills, and then incorporate those skills into two areas, right? You want to put it into your actual skills section and think about that as a market value filter. So type slowly, take what comes in the drop-down box and add that, right? Then you're going to put it now into your about section, which is just recent, called top skills. You're going to put 5 in there, right? You can put 50 at the bottom. And then you can actually attach them to each position. Now, brilliant on LinkedIn's part, because the reason they put skills to positions is if you say I've got social media and I have it attached to 5 different jobs, I can add up the years in those jobs that I can get 15 years of social media. Yeah. Pretty smart on LinkedIn's part. But then LinkedIn also want to know what is our top skills. And so that's why they've separated that and placed that into the about section. Endorsements at the bottom with skills. If you don't have endorsements on your skills, you're being compared to those who do. So if somebody's got, 100 for leadership and you've got 2 for leadership, you're not going to be at the top of the list, right? It's going to be like this. So I always say, have skill parties with your friends, go to their profile, give them what they have. Don't give them, if you don't know Cobalt, don't give somebody Cobalt. Give them what they have. And usually they'll come back. You don't even have to ask. They'll come back and they'll give you what they know you have. If you want to increase leadership, go out and find leaders and give them leadership that you know, right? And they'll usually come back 80% of the time. They'll come back and give you leadership. Works really well. And it helps distinguish because LinkedIn uses that as part of that profile ranking. They're using, what's into those market value filters, but then bring those skills into the context of what you write as well, because LinkedIn's looking there as well. And with AI, all those things are kind of coming into play. But that to me is an area that that Career Explorer is going to help people kind of define those and then really kind of bring them in. They've got a new option for premium accounts, but we won't talk about that. We're going to stick to that free stuff. And it does the same thing. And it's based on what they did on GitHub. The little skunk work over here now became a feature within LinkedIn, but you got to pay for that one. You still can get the other one for free. So use it now while it's there because it may disappear. We never know.
And you can sort all your skills, correct? So you can rearrange your order because okay.
And matter of fact, your top 3 get the most skill endorsements, right? So rotate them. If you add a new one in, don't worry that the top one had the most already. Put that new one in so you can gain some on that new one. And it makes a huge difference. And rotate them around. They don't look at it from the LinkedIn side. If it's your top 3, that those are most important because they're looking at it in a different way. So
we're looking at the number count, number count.
Yeah. Rotate them so that you'll get more on those other skills that you're adding in, especially if they're new. And then I always say, do a skill kind of review. Make sure you're not using old terms, right? Because if you are, then it's not going to help you be found for anything new.
One of the other things you mentioned about reordering skills, one of the things that LinkedIn wants to do is hide things. So if usually when you go in and you edit something, there's the up and down caret, okay, that you see. Well, you won't see that on skills unless you actually click the 3 dots. Thank you for the illustration, Debbie. Okay, you won't see that on skills unless you click the 3 dots. Once you click that, then you can click reorder, and then you can reorder your skills. So it's just one of those little hidden things that people ask me all the time. I can't reorder my skills. Well, yes, you can.
Yeah. Okay. And anytime you see 3 dots, click it, find out what it is. Hey, well, the secrets are hidden behind the 3 dots.
You're really good. My tip, I'm going to go back to posting, okay? But I'm going to tell you about posting as one of the ways that you actually can differentiate yourself on LinkedIn because Of the 930 million people that are out there, only about 1 to 5% of those people actually post on LinkedIn on a weekly basis. So posting is good. But my tip is actually, you don't have to post every single day. Please don't do that, because if you do, I think you're actually making noise instead of value. Okay, you're adding noise. I would rather you would post consistently once or twice a week, and then spend 10 to 20 times more doing comments on posts for somebody else. That's really the tip here. Engage and, Star Trek, engage, okay? As Jean-Luc Picard would say, engage in comments. I regularly comment 10 to 20 times for every single post that I actually ever do out on LinkedIn. And that's what generates the most followers. That's what generates the most conversations. That's where the rubber really meets the road, as far as I'm concerned, on LinkedIn, is comments as opposed to
Right into reciprocity, right?
Yeah.
The golden rule. If you are doing that, it comes back tenfold. It's the right way to kind of build that momentum.
Debbie, is there anything that you want to say as a final words of wisdom?
Use that ellipsis, the 3 dots, in the upper right corner of any post on your homepage. If you find something really cool, but you don't have time right now, I click save on that ellipsis. I save posts and articles, and it's saved over on the left under that little flag, and I call that my happy hour flag. So I go back and read later when I have time.
Kevin.
I look at LinkedIn, it's a microcosm of the real world. What works out here, right, works inside LinkedIn. So if you went to a networking meeting and you had a bag over your head, nobody's going to talk to you, right? If you started slamming business cards on them here, nobody's going to take your business card. They're going to throw it in the trash can as soon as you leave, right? So what works in the real world works within LinkedIn. So start thinking about that. That's the thing, same thing going back to mentioning people, right? You see a post and it mentions 75 people. You actually mentioned 100, believe it or not. That's spam. That doesn't work in the real world. If you called out 75 names in an open room, it doesn't work. So if it doesn't work in the real world, it's not going to work within LinkedIn. And if it does, then it will. That's one of the things that I think if you take that knowledge into LinkedIn, you can get so much out of it.
Jeff.
One of the best features for me on LinkedIn is not a technical feature. It's not something that has to do with click this ellipse or et cetera. LinkedIn has allowed me to find my tribe. Okay. And when I say tribe, I mean together really is better for everyone. Okay. Tribe, TRIBE. It is amazing to me how I've gotten to know you folks. It has been one of the best platforms. It's a party. Today is a party, but it's a party that's going on 24/7, 365. You can join it anytime you want to. And finding your tribe, to me, really, I sum it up this way. I think that our similarities bring us together, but our differences make us better. And that's why I learn from all you folks. And I think that's one of the best ways you can use LinkedIn is to find a diverse and widespread network and get together with those folks and have a great time, because LinkedIn is actually quite fun.
And probably what I would end it with is sort of following up on what Kevin said. It's about people, and be the same online as you are in person, no matter what you're doing. And stealing a line from Gandhi, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. So be kind with people on LinkedIn, be patient with newbies, ask people for help, but then reciprocate and help others back. And just recognize that we all have to hold hands and learn this platform together and support each other. So it's all about the community that we build here together, and just pay it forward. Just be kind and pay it forward. And that's what we all try to do. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Easy Peasy Books, from author to authority. If you found value in today's episode, I'd be grateful if you could leave us a review. It helps other aspiring authors discover our podcast. To learn more about writing, publishing, and leveraging your business book, visit my website at easypeasybooks.com.